This is Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in his student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hey everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT this Sunday, the 3rd of December, 2017. That's right, everybody. It is December. It is the last month of the year. We're already there. Welcome and thank you for joining us. We are joined by our good friend Ken. How are you doing today, sir?
Hello. Slightly having a mini existential crisis after what you just said, but other than that, I'm good.
Yeah. There's those moments when you start realizing how quickly time flies.
And time I do not have free. Jeez. Yeah. That's scary. Ooh. Yeah, I've got, five plus. I've got 17 months left in my PhD, which means I'm well over the halfway mark now.
Oh.
It's scary.
I am sure you will do great with it. I'm sure it will be fine.
Yeah, me too, but it's just, it's just a scary thought. Oh, it's a big mountain I'm looking up, and I'm still, even though I've been walking for thousands of miles, I've still not begun to climb the peak at all.
Gotcha.
You know? That's kind of what it feels like.
I do know that feeling, man. And it's amazing when you actually try to put things in perspective, trying to sit there and kind of go like, yep, a lot going on. And it never does feel like there's enough time.
No, to follow that analogy, it's kind of like I know lots of people who have also climbed hills, and they keep telling me that it's not that bad, but it's a very steep climb. But then they say, but then again, I've never climbed that hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, how are you doing, sir? How are you?
Today I am doing well. Today is a good day. So yes, things are good, and I'm excited to talk about what kind of things have been going on over the last week. So to get into things, I think we'll go ahead and start with a little bit of
functional deviations.
And so with that, Ken, what have you been doing that has not been geek this week?
Nothing particularly interesting, so it's going to be quite a short section. But first of all, I want to give a shout out to our art contest, because the voting thread is now up and has been for a few days, and we will end the vote towards the end of the show. So please go in and vote. We definitely need more people to do that. We've only had one person so far. So
I missed when it got posted. I knew you were going to, and I did not see when it actually happened.
Yeah, it was a couple of days ago. So please do go in now, lovely listeners, and yourself if you wish, Mr. Wayne, and vote for your favorite pieces. I think you can vote for 4 out of something like 12 or so. So go in and vote.
Alrighty, awesome. So yes, definitely go check that out, and I will be somewhat doing that right now during the show, just to make sure. So
cool.
Yes.
So I've been traveling this week. I took the train down to Ipswich and back. And that's always good fun. I'm glad to be back again. I have started driving in recent times, but this time I decided to actually get the train, which I've not done for some time. Thankfully there's no delays or anything, so I can't complain. I'm just glad that it passed by quickly. I got some work done and stuff, and that was good too. Now the thing that was really interesting is there's a little bit different this time, was a close buddy of mine was going along to I recommended them for a job, pretty much, with British Telecom, who sponsor my PhD, the guys I work with very closely. And because I recommended him, he got in for the interview very quickly. I think it was like a week and a half after he had his phone interview, which was a week after I recommended him or something like that.
Nice.
So it was very, very quick, all this stuff. And that's a good thing, right? It's good that it's very quickly being seen and stuff. So he was asked to come all the way down, which, is a fairly expensive endeavor for a student to go down to, the other side of the country for just a job interview. So I said to him, look, I can't help you with your travel, but I've already got a hotel room, so why don't you just come crash in my hotel room? Save you a bit of cash instead of you spending like £300 just on top of the travel to get there for hotels. Just crash on my couch. However, the guy actually has a really bad back. So originally I said crash on my couch, but I sort of realized, wait a minute, I don't need the bed. He does need the bed. So I slept on the couch, and he had he had the bed, but that's okay. So the day the interview came along, and he was panicking and stressy, and because he's coming to the end of his PhD. And that's a stressful time enough as it is, because you're finishing writing your thesis and you're worrying about getting your oral exam known as a viva, and that's a very stressful thing because you need to be able to defend your work as well as cite hundreds of other works and basically know a lot of it off by heart, so that when they say, but have you read this paper released in 1997 by this person who has 17 citations, which is nothing, you have to know that paper, right? You have to know them all. Like, that's the tough thing. So it's a very, very difficult and scary thing. The entire process is very scary. And so he has to also worry about the friggin' job interview on top of that, like we all will have to do as well. So it's just a really scary, 6 months or so. So he was very stressed. And the next morning we got up nice and early because I was asked to come in for 8 because we had a meeting then. So I said to him, hey, do you want to just come in with me? Like, I know your interview's at 1, but do you want to just come in and hang around the office? That way you don't have to worry about how to get there by public transport and stuff, since I already know the city really well. I can get us in really easily and cheaply.
Yeah, you're the one in
he was
the
like,
know.
yeah, okay. Yeah, he's like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'll come in with you. And I had a slightly nefarious well, it's actually a good reason, but that wasn't the main reason I wanted him to come in was because once we got in, he had 4 or 5 hours where he had to just sit and get ready for his presentation and just sit and wait. But I knew fine well that I sit next to his interviewer. So I was like, hey, have you met this guy? He's a friend of mine. They got an interview today. Why don't you talk to him? And so they chatted, and then ended up that he got a tour of the team, and he got bounced through all the members of the people he may one day be working with, and he met them all and got to talk to them all about their work and all that stuff. So it was a very, very good thing, because suddenly he had a great insight for the job.
Nice. And now that everyone's met him, if he got on with everyone well, I would say that greases the wheels a bit.
At least a little bit. I mean, I said to him after we went for lunch at 12 o'clock just before his meeting, and I said, look, you're you don't need to worry about your interview, I don't think, because that was your interview, really. I mean, you've talked to everybody in the team for at least 45 minutes each, and they've got a fairly good idea of what you're like. I mean, they already know you're qualified from your CV. That if you want to know somebody's got a technical skill, you get that from your CV, right? If you want to know if they're a good person or they'll fit with the team, that's what an interview's for. You don't do an interview for the technical stuff.
Yep. You
should already know whether they should only get an interview if they're already qualified, right? So I said to him that that's pretty much been your interview already. Don't worry about the formal thing because you've already done it, right? You're already sorted, pretty much. So he went and had his interview and came out, and he said normally they said they wait a couple weeks to tell us whether we got the job or not. But I've got it, and so he got the job straight away on the day.
Well played. Very nice.
Yeah, so he's not accepted it yet, but he needs to talk to his girlfriend because it's a big thing moving.
Yeah, there's decisions around the whole thing.
Well, they're moving country, right? And plus, his girlfriend's a year earlier in her PhD, so it's kind of a case of she has to either stay up here for a year and they're apart for a year, or they both need to move down south and she sort of works remotely or whatever, right? It's kind of difficult, whatever happens.
Yeah, logistics throughout.
Yeah, so that's a pain in the butt. Other than that, we went to celebrate that night, and we decided we'd have a few drinks and stuff, and that didn't work out very well. We're both so tired from getting up early that we ended up staying out for a very short period of time. But we went out to a really nice restaurant called Rio Brazil in Ipswich. I've mentioned it before. It's Brazilian restaurant that's sort of not quite a buffet, but they
it's
come
the meat
by
one,
and,
right?
Yeah, it's the meat one. I love it. Do you have the same one in the US?
We have several versions of different Brazilian barbecue type places that we like to frequent. They're never inexpensive, but you will easily make it into a meat coma.
Yeah. Well, it's £19 or so it's somewhat expensive. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
But for the amount of meat that you get and the quality of the meat, it's definitely worthwhile. So that was really good, and that's pretty much been my whole week. It's worth mentioning. I've really had nothing else exciting happening. So, I came home to Kitten having done the Christmas decorations and stuff.
Yay!
Yeah. So that's everything. Sir, what have you been up to in the past week?
Oh, well, I've had a few things. It's funny because you mentioned Christmas decorations, and that's probably one of the first things that I've started doing, although I am not fully there. When was it? Last Sunday, maybe, after the show, or some point in there, real quickly, I pulled out my tree from the basement, was able to bring it up and get it at least started, set up.
Nice.
It's kind of my first main thing, to get it all up and lights on and things like that. I know I did it just into last week, essentially. And at the same time, though, I haven't pulled up all of my decorations because I have a bunch of boxes and boxes of Christmas decorations, a lot of which are ones that I'd had for the tree, the little ornament stuff from way back when, but mostly a bunch of new ones I had gotten, at least new to me, from my family a year or so ago from when my grandparents have all passed. They distributed out a lot of their old ornaments. So things that you would see on my grandparents' trees or around the house throughout the holidays now reside with all of us kids, all of us grandkids. Which is really neat. Now, the challenge is this year, however, I am trying to do something a little different.
Okay, what are you trying?
Well, I have had comments made that my house isn't geeky enough.
Oh.
And essentially what it means is my house is fun, and I often host people and have like all kinds of geek parties and various things and stuff like that I like to do. And so it's a good house, and it's good fun and things like this. The challenge I run into, though, is that, admittedly, all the way back when I was still married, before I got divorced, that a lot of the decorations in the house, how everything got put together, was basically from my ex-wife. She kind of did it all. She had an eye for it and just a mindset for how the house should look. I had some input into color scheme, stuff like that. But she got it all sorted and got it put together. Well, she moved on, and I still live in the house, and I just never really went about redecorating. And so,
right, okay.
Because it looks nice. Everybody agrees my house looks nice. It's good. And so I never had that urge or that push to say, you know what, I need to make this me. And so I need to take down this really pretty artwork that's over here that fits the room to put up something geeky or something like that. And so my office has always been my expression of geek. You can see toys and knickknacks and junk all around and behind me and things like that. But it doesn't really bleed out into the rest of my house. I've got a few posters up around my bedroom and stuff like that, and a couple places in the house of just little, some comic artwork and things I've gotten from conventions, but not really everywhere. And so one of those extended to my tree. I had a tree, and last year when I decorated it, all of the decorations I put on were old ones either that I had from way back or that my family had donated. And I didn't really have anything that was just me. And so I had a couple, the biggest thing is I printed a 8-bit Super Mario Brothers star that I put as my tree topper.
That's cute.
So that's me, right? That's geek as can be. But beyond that, there's not a lot else. So I am trying to be a little more selective about what decorations I put around the house and trying to find the ones that really speak to me and not just take everything out of the box and go, blah, Christmas, right? And so I'm trying to come up with ways to make it a little more personalized. And so I'm doing that for the first time with Christmas, and we'll see how it goes. So I have the tree up, and I have 3 ornaments on it. Maybe 4.
Okay.
So far. And one stocking that I ended up buying for my cousin this year is a pseudo Christmas present where I got him a Star Wars knit stocking because he loves Star Wars. So I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to be geekier and figure, it's my house. I can let that shine. I don't know. Beyond that, I, as usual, have been hanging out with my tight-knit friends group a lot this week. One of the things we were doing specifically is watching, as we do, a lot of movies and shows and things, which is really nice since I have my big, beautiful TV. However, this time, most of the watching was actually done elsewhere. Had an opportunity to go up north to hang out with one of the friends to meet some of her family and such, and in doing so, Zenko Akko brought with them, or did they bring it? Yes, they did bring it with them, because Zenko always brings tea to celebrate and kind of host things, wherever she goes. But they also love to bring their sets of anime or just series and stuff that they want the rest of us to watch. Well, they brought it with us. It was fun because we're up with one of the friends' family, including mother, grandparents, and such like this. And we put on a movie called Your Name, which, for those who don't know, it's another one of these animated movies.
Animated or anime?
So, Japanese animated movie. And so
Okay.
you would say basically anime, but it's another one where it doesn't have any of those anime tropes or trappings to it. It doesn't have the funny eyes with crying or any of those things. It does tell... No, it doesn't. It does tell a fanciful story, or a story that goes beyond what is just reality today. But it's not like magic and elves and stuff like that. It's not some weird sci-fi or something like that. It just deals with kind of an interesting, basically a body switch concept is what happens in this one. But it's really neat. And it was one that I always give crud to Zenko and Ako because we tend to believe that they really enjoy tragedy / heavy dramas in what they introduce us to. And so in doing this, they, Your Name, which is actually what? Kimi no Nawa, I think is the Japanese name for it. Well, I was looking really quickly at it. Anyhow. So as we're watching it, not Serathis Kissing Body Switch. No. That was the series that I had talked about before. The Seven Witches. That was that one I talked about before. Now this is a singular movie, and it talks about two basically high school kids who end up switching bodies when they would wake up, and they initially think they're dreaming instead of being in a different body. And in doing so, they go through an interaction and later figure out somewhat that they are actually switching bodies at these points, and kind of the awkwardness it causes in the lives that they start living of each other's lives. Initially because they think it's a dream, so they go with it, each of them, but then they do odd things because they say things that their friends are like, what? Stuff like that. And what's really neat about the movie that you don't get if you don't know Japanese culture a whole lot, if you especially don't know the language. I don't, but thankfully having Zenko Ako who really do, they can help translate or give me some of the more details. One of the things is that the way you speak in Japanese, a lot of the words you use and the phrases can be very masculine or feminine. And so in doing so, when the body switch happens, what's really cool and similar that was done in the Seven Witches anime is that the voice actors who are playing the characters have to also kind of switch what way they say different phrases. And so when they switch and they're speaking, when the female voice actress is speaking as though she's the guy, she has to use those masculine mannerisms and kind of word choices and things like that to really do like a man would speak in Japan. And that's something that, like I said, a normal non-Japanese speaking person would probably not catch. So it adds a little extra bit to it. And it's funny because then you better understand why certain characters react the way they do, because they're like, wow, that's awfully forward of you for the female, because that's awfully masculine of you, kind of thing. So it's really interesting. Anyhow, watching it,
Cool.
the show does bring about a lot of feels in it. Initially, it's kind of lighthearted and just fun interaction, but eventually there's some emotion that comes along with. And while I don't want to spoil anything of the show itself, the movie, which I highly recommend, much like I really recommend the series Relife and such, for this one, the joy of this was watching it with with our friends' parents and our mother and grandparents, because they don't watch animated movies like this or Japanese animation, and at least not really to any extent like we do. So they weren't sure what they were getting into. But they were sports and they watched along with it. And it's funny because there's some initial scenes that are kind of awkward but fun, where when the guy first shows up in the female's body, he wakes up and he's like, oh. And they have kind of a running gag going through where she has a younger sister. And so the younger sister comes to wake her up, opens the door, and like every time she opens the door to wake her up, when he's in the body, she comes in and he's groping like the breasts. Like first thing wakes up, I'm like, oh, I have breasts. Looks down, and it's funny because the younger sister comments to it like, "Are you touching yourself again?" kind of thing, and he's just looking over like, "What?" and just awkwardly kind of thing, but just funny little jokes like that. And so when they first saw that, they were kind of looking like, okay, but it's a minor piece of it. It's just it's kind of a cue to let you know when a scene's starting with him in her body. But anyhow, watching it as it got to feels parts of it, what was very interesting was how her mother, and not in the anime, but our friend's mother, really suddenly got into the story. And towards the end, when it was really at a peak, to the point where a pivotal scene happens where you are feeling for the characters for like some good communication to occur to hopefully get past some of the challenges that are happening. And she started yelling at the screen, trying to answer in response to like what was happening. Like, no, it's this. Why don't you know? And we all kind of looked over like, oh, wow. So she really got into it. It was really fun. And the whole movie was just, like I said, a really good time. And so afterwards, everything, we were able to kind of just decompress a little bit about how interesting it was to bring in someone else like that who isn't used to these kind of movies, doesn't seek them out, and how much she enjoyed it. So that was, like, awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, it was a really good time. So I definitely recommend Your Name. Other things we got to watch. So then it was my turn later in where I'd watched the first half before and then got the group together long enough to watch the second half finally of the movie Goodfellas, the 1980s gangster movie, which
Classic.
I hold up as one of the pinnacle gangster movies of all time. And it's funny because they mention it because towards the end of the movie how it gets to where Goodfellas is to Godfather essentially in that the Godfather is what is it? The Godfather movies are about the mafia, the Italian mafia, made men, and all that higher echelon, where Goodfellas is about the guys who work and are part of the mob or kind of the helpers that aren't the Italians, aren't the Sicilians, aren't the ones who are made men, right? They're not the ones with family connections, but they work with the mobsters. And so it's actually a fun thing to see. They're Goodfellas. And I just think it's one of these amazing films that goes through way more of the experience than you might expect. Well, neither Zenko or Hyde had seen it. And so letting them watch and finish it was, to me, really great. Because being able to share something I just see as a pivotal. And then I almost got them started on another movie, but time was such that we had to end things. But that was a lot of fun. And it goes back to, again, me sharing different things I love. And, it's good times. On top of that, then, we've had kind of some mixes and matches back between friend groups and what we were doing. And I'll get into the geek cred part of it later for what I did basically all of yesterday. But to cap yesterday's evening where I was hanging out with Zenko Akko, Zenko got to show me, and she absolutely loves, one of her favorite movies of all time. And I don't know if you've seen it, Ken. This is an old one. The Great Escape.
Oh, yeah, I saw it. Well, I was going to say, I've seen it when I was a kid, I think. I've
right?
never seen it in my adult life.
It came out in, 1963, I think is what it said on the thing. One with Steve McQueen and some other classic, famous guys. One of the ones that I noticed was Charles Bronson was a big one for me because the character he plays in it he was surprisingly fit. Like, Charles Bronson's a big guy and always had done these great roles, but that was kind of like his heyday. And he was legit in shape to a point of almost bodybuilder today level, where he just was like, I was like, huh? Because he does a lot of scenes where he's muscling things and then smaller shirts and stuff kind of thing. I just was like, I was kind of impressed. But it's a story about World War II and guys being stuck in a Nazi camp and essentially trying to escape out of the camp. And a British officer running it is basically saying that is their duty as an officer to harass the enemy at all chances that they get and to never make it easy for them.
I love that.
Right, and to constantly be working to get away and do these things. It's their duty. It's what they have to do. And so it's this great interplay between all these basically soldiers who are notorious for escaping and the Germans who built a camp specifically to stop them from escaping kind of thing, and mostly officers and things like that. So it's kind of that extra level of respect for officers that instead of just killing them kind of thing, they would hold them till the end of the war kind of thing. So I got to watch it, and I gotta say, I don't believe I had ever seen it prior.
Oh, it's a classic. It's absolutely a classic.
It is absolutely a classic. So I got to watch it, and it was really fun, and I love experiencing things with Zenko Akko. They have such passion for the things they enjoy. And plus, anytime Zenko makes tea and we hang out, and it's just, woo, watch it all. And we took breaks to do some geeky things in the middle because it's a 3-hour movie. But in watching it, it's so fun and just genuinely humorous at parts and just well made throughout that it was a blast. So it's one of those that I don't often reach back to classics. There's some I've seen, and this made it so much better. And I've realized that because I don't go further and do research on things to make them better or make it more sense for me, just like literature and stuff like that, I just consume it. I don't go to try to find out what did the author mean or anything like that. It helps when I have someone who really loves it, like Zenko Akko, to provide me some extra little details about stuff that make me enjoy it even more. And so that was it was a great experience. And I now will have to go back at some point to watch one of her other favorites that they both love is Casablanca, which admittedly I have tried to watch like 2 or 3 times and just can't. I've always been bored to tears or just whatever reason was not able to finish it.
Yeah, I find it a little tedious.
It's tough. It's tough for me. Well, with their enthusiasm, because they looked at me like, what? Casablanca's amazing. I'm like, you say so. So I'm hoping that I'll have the opportunity in the near term to try it again, but with them watching with me, because I think that would make it a much better experience. So we'll see. But it was so I got to do like movie things throughout this week, which was a lot of fun. Beyond that, things I've done. Went out and started collecting some things for cosplay because, darn it, I need to get started. I have 2 costumes that are really going to be intricate that are coming up in 2 months or less, or just 2 months now, I think, overall, and I am not prepared. So I am going to be scrambling.
You are not prepared.
Oh, no. No, I am not. And so I need to get off my butt and start getting back into being predictably ham and do my crafting. So I'm falling behind that. I need to get going. One costume is amazingly massive, huge, and will take a lot of construction. I have no idea to do it. The other one, I'm just kind of remaking my Thomas Jefferson coat again, but in different materials, and then some other things to dress up for a different character. But I got to get them going. In doing so, I had purchased a while back this old 60s or 70s sewing machine, a Viking, all-metal sewing machine, because it's got good power, can really punch through good materials.
Yep.
So I started to use it, and actually I had La Campette, El Campo's daughter, over for a bit because was helping her to basically sew on. She's in a program here called Civil Air Patrol. It's kind of a preparatory thing that she could get into the military and the Air Force and potentially be an officer. And so she's been going through these things with Civil Air Patrol. Well, she finally got a uniform and needed to sew on the nameplates, the patches, for her name and the whole Civil Air Patrol thing. They could hand sew and she could do it, but like her mother contacted me and said that they didn't have a sewing machine and she really doesn't know how to sew that well. She always took it to a shop or somewhere to get it sewn on. And so kind of asked me if I would do it. And I said, yeah, nah, no problem. So I brought her over and basically had her do it herself, but I had to help her learn to pin and do stuff like that. Got it going, but to get ready for that, I wanted to have her use the Viking because it is a good solid machine, can go through things real thick. So I grabbed one of my bobbins out and just threaded it and such, and then came out and find out that, yeah, it's not good. The bobbin, because of when that Viking machine is from, is narrower than modern bobbins, or at least the ones I'd found and that I normally had. So I tried to use it, and it was a critical failure. So I had to move back over to the Brother machine. So part of what I did is I went out and had to find these like classic old metal bobbins or bobbins for this old machine. So I think I found some. They're plastic, and I'm hoping I can do that because I really want to use this machine for all the other sewing, and I'd hate to have to unthread a bobbin every time because I have one to do the sewing.
That sounds like a pain in the ass, yeah.
It would be, but it caused this machine so smoothly, so I hope I can use it for everything. So I'll have to try these bobbins out. Which also reminds me, I watched another movie. I actually had a lot of time with my friend group this weekend. So the other movie we got to see, which was in theater, which was great, was a old Studio Ghibli movie, which was Howl's Moving Castle. And I don't know if that's one you might have seen, Ken, because at least
seen it, no.
Studio Ghibli stuff tends to be more Disney-like, or in a way that, being big movies, people more often will see them, like My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away and some of these other movies, and like Princess Mononoke and all these. So sometimes those are ones that a lot of people have seen. But it was fun to watch, and it's one that I had never seen in the big screen. I think I'd only ever seen once prior, which was a long, long time ago. And going and seeing it in the theater this time, I love it because any of these old movies on theater, animated films, you catch so much more. But I have a confession to make for Studio Ghibli fans. I realized after watching it on the big screen that Howl's Moving Castle is not one of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies. It really isn't. Like, I enjoyed it. It was fun. But it wasn't, like, I don't know, it just didn't grab me like Spirited Away does, or really My Neighbor Totoro, which was amazing. And so I was weird. I enjoyed it. It's good. But it just wasn't as magical to me as some of the others. And it was fun because, I think the rest of my group was kind of looking at me like, what? But how can I was just like, hey, it's a comparison thing. I liked it. It's compared to other Studio Ghibli movies. And so that was kind of odd for me. But yeah, so those are pretty much what I've consumed. The only other thing is I made more progress on the Punisher series, which for me is awesome because my television is amazing and it's all in Ultra 4K, and I got my receiver working. I got a new receiver in on Wednesday, so to replace the one that Lightning had taken out. So now I have the audio to go with it.
Hey, it's not your 4K that's impressive about your screen. It's the OLED that's impressive about your screen.
It's the combination of both, yes. And because Netflix 4K streaming is beautiful, I had a scene, and I don't know if I mentioned before, we were watching The Punisher, where the lights in the background were so bright and beautiful that they almost made me squint with the lights off. And because where there aren't lights and it's black, it's so dark that they really just like bam. And there's a scene where one of the characters in it is looking for something and has a flashlight at night in the forest and brings it up towards the screen real quick, or up towards the camera, and it just flashes in a way that was like, whoa. You know, kind of like get that light out of my face kind of feeling.
Wow.
Man, that feels good and makes me not regret as much the mass amount of debt I'm putting myself in to have this fun. Totally makes it worth it. Totally worth it. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, so that's mostly what I've been doing that has not been truly geeky this week.
So I've got a random question for you. This one that I often ponder about is, can you imagine, or have you ever imagined, if you had like a much smaller place, like a 1-bedroom, tiny little place, this nice enough, maybe like a studio or something, but like is much cheaper than your current place? How many other like miscellaneous electronic items and geeky things, and how much traveling you could do if you had all that spare cash?
So Kenneth, this is one of these discussions that unfortunately rings true in my head far too often. Because I have a very distinct emotion of this, which is I bought the house that I'm in, my lovely house. And it wasn't even a full like year or two later that I got divorced. And so after that, it kind of always left me in the sense of I had built this house with the idea of two incomes involved. And at the time, my ex was making the same as me, if not more. So it was a much more comfortable way to do. So after we got divorced, I thought often, and every once in a while still do, about, man, if I just still had my original house. And the reason I say this is my original house's mortgage that I had before this one was about half of what this one's is. And I believe if I had refinanced it like I did this at one point, it would have easily been half. Which would have put a solid extra $1,000 a month in my pocket every month. So when you say that, what could I have? What could I do? What could you do with an extra $1,000 a month, or in your case, an extra 600 like quid a month or something, right?
Yeah, that's no small amount.
Right? I talk about that alone could have had me in a Nissan GTR brand new.
Yeah,
because the payments on that would have been like $800 or $900 a month, and so I could have easily gotten into a car like that.
Or how many other trips to Asia, or Europe, wherever else you please, right?
Every year, because my trips to Europe and such might cost me $2,000 or $3,000. That's 3 months of extra savings. So I could do a trip like that every 3 months if I wasn't doing anything else. There's that kind of things, right? That if I had it, yes, I could.
Terrifying thought.
So I say that because when you mention that, it's not the first time. It's similar, and unfortunately, in a lot of ways, to when I think about what if I ever won a lottery and was suddenly influxed with mass amounts of money, what would I do? Because I wouldn't go silly. There are things I would buy, right? I would buy a nice car. I would probably try to build a stupid computer just to see what I could. But beyond that, I'd probably stay in my house at least for a while. I don't know. I wouldn't be in a rush to do all those things, but I would travel everywhere. And go to different kinds of events and things. I do a lot of experiential things. And so it's similar in the sense that I believe if I hadn't had the bills I do today and had that lifestyle, I would do all of those things. So, yeah.
So is that just a dream, or do you think that's ever going to be a possibility? Do you think you'll ever move out of your house or sell it?
So I don't necessarily want to, because I have a goal to pay it off as fast as I can. In essence, I want to be able to retire. I'd love to retire in less than 10 years. That may be a stretch because of other bills and things, but who knows? I've been trying to aggressively pay on my house. Because I would love to spend the majority of my time not going to work each week and not doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to spend the most of my time hanging out with friends, engaging in my hobbies that make them maybe more than hobbies or really finish things that I like doing and fully progress them. I'd love to do things like that. And travel the world. And a lot of it, I think, with time, I could do more so. And not even need like mass amounts of money to do it. So, nice thing is, I'm doing it just on a slower scale. So I'm not always traveling, but I'll tell you, Ken, I have been contemplating heavily next year amongst all the convention stuff I'm going to travel and do. I've had opportunities where people kind of mentioned like, hey, would you like to come out to go to a convention in Australia or something? Or would you like, I've mentioned multiple times I'd like to come back to Scotland, and bring other friends with me. I'd like to go to a convention in Scotland or, in London or something and kind of blend the two and things like that. So there's those options that are there, and they're not so far-fetched that I couldn't. I just have to plan for it. So who knows? And so in a way, I'm living, I won't say my dream, but I'm doing things that I would just do more of if I had those resources. And so, yeah, it's kind of a thing I would recommend to anybody. Don't wait. Do what you can. Just be responsible about it. And so, yes, I would love to travel every other weekend somewhere new. I can't afford it. But could I travel somewhere new each year once or twice? Maybe. Maybe you can too. You just have to plan for it and make it a priority. So, yeah. I don't know. How about yourself, Ken? Is there, when you think of like the things you would rather be doing with your life than just your everyday job and things like that, is it something totally different than what you're doing, or is it more an extension of who you are?
Well, okay. So I live in a 3-bedroom house, which is a little bit unnecessary considering it's just me and my wife and 2 dogs. And really having 2 dogs makes it kind of we make more use of the space than before, but really 2 people for a 3-bedroom house is unnecessary, especially when we sleep in the same bedroom.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ken. That does not sound like an overextension of resource at all. Just because there's 2 people and 2 cats living in my 4-bedroom house.
The cats have a room each. Yeah. That's kind of the thing that like we have a chinchilla room, right? And we have our bedroom. And the 3rd bedroom is used as my office, which in theory was supposed to be where I would do like work from home. But I think I've only worked from home there like 5 times just because I prefer to sit in front of the TV. So and it used to be my gaming room as well, but I don't game anymore because I have a gaming PC. So it's just it's just a dead room. We just store stuff there. And I'm like, why do we, we don't actually pay extra, right? I'll explain that in a second.
But, yeah.
But it's because my parents own the house, right? So technically speaking, I don't pay extra for this place. We just, we do pay extra for the heating. We do pay extra for electricity, etc. It costs more to heat a bigger house, right?
Yes.
But overall, it's fine, right? But if I can still imagine the idea if I didn't pay as much, or if we didn't have to pay as much council tax or whatever else, all put together, it'd still be a few £100 we'd save extra a month. And so for that reason, I don't know what I would do. I would probably get a gaming PC first of all. God damn it, that'd be the first thing. I'd probably get Ken a car, because right now it's just my car. It'd be nice if we both had a car each, and then we'd have a bit more freedom. I mean, right now, for example, tonight, just before the show, we came into uni today because she works in the building next door, and we started playing. We started. She started doing work about noon, and I started doing work here about noon as well. And the plan was to stay here till about 10 p.m. or so. Come 6 p.m., she says, "I think I want to go home," and I was like, "Okay." Like, I'll drive you, and that meant that, I had to go in the car and drive her, and that takes 4 minutes of my time, and I had to rush back to do the show. It meant that I offered, right? I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that is something that I had to do, and at times it'd be more useful if she had her own vehicle. So it'd be nice to. I'd like to be able to buy her a car. That would be great. And yeah, she wants to go on holidays as well, so I'd love to take her on some more holidays because we haven't been in years. Literally years. I mean, we go to Geneva, right? But that's visiting family as well, so it doesn't entirely count as a holiday. I don't think many people would count visiting your parents or in-laws as a holiday, right? I see it as a nice getaway, and it's enjoyable, but again, not a holiday. So that's what I would do.
Nice.
Anyway, sorry for that random tangent.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Shall we jump onto the geek cred?
Sure, let us transition and talk geekiness, because we'd like to be geek.
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
All right, Ken, what's been geeky for you?
I love how Copy sounds so enthusiastic in that. Years of hearing that, and well, now do I say it. So geekiness, not much again because I've had a very boring week. I didn't have D&D this week. I didn't have Pathfinder this week, sadly. We were originally planning to do it via Skype since I couldn't actually make it in myself.
Yep.
Since I was going to be in Ipswich. But due to the fact that nobody else could make that night and they had to try and shuffle the day around, and then they said, "Oh, can you do Wednesday?" And I was like, "I can't. I'm taking my buddy out for his interview after et cetera. And so it just ended up not going ahead, which is really sad because I really do enjoy these sessions. So we decided to just do it next week. But it's cool because we've actually got 2 campaigns going just now. We've got our evil campaign and our good campaign, which my character is going to be in both somehow. I don't understand. It doesn't necessarily have to make sense. But I'm looking forward to getting back into it. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because Kitten has said that she's interested in taking part at some point.
Oh, yeah.
However, she doesn't want to do it in in our group, which is weird. So she wants to do it in like the girlfriend group. So a bunch of us have girlfriends and boyfriends, and what we plan to do is make us like another D&D session night thing. Yeah, but we involve like our partners, so that it's kind of a bit more beginnery, and also we can cater to whatever other needs they may have as different people. And that way, my wife doesn't feel a little bit like like the only girl amongst a pack of guys sort of thing. So I don't know. Well, we'll see if she does it or not, whether it goes ahead. But she says she's interested, so that'd be cool. I think she's interested in playing a cat folk character, of course. Zero
Gotcha.
surprise for kitten features, right? But that's what she's thinking about. So yeah, I'm looking forward to D&D on Tuesday. I've been playing a bit of WoW. So even though I was traveling, what I did was I brought my laptop and just played on the Mac a little bit. So that was fun. I've just been playing on and off here and there whenever I've got downtime. And that's been enjoyable. Not done much in it. I must have only played like 4 or 5 hours in the past week, and that's more than usual because I was traveling. So that helped. Other than that, the PS4, we've got that, and we've been playing it a little bit here and there. But I've been traveling, so I haven't played it that much. But I'm really looking forward to playing The Witcher because, oh my god, it's so pretty. It's so friggin' pretty. Ken Features has been playing it a lot, and specifically playing The Witcher, and she's really enjoying it as well. So I'm looking forward to at some point putting some time into playing The Witcher properly, and properly getting to play the actual friggin' PS4 that I bought. So far, just because I've been traveling, I've barely touched the damn thing. I'd like to really, test it out for a good 4 or 5 hours straight at some point.
Yeah, be able to sit down and really engross yourself in it.
Absolutely. But again, like I said, very short this week because I don't have much on. I should also mention that the next Hearthstone expansion, I think, comes out next week. So we might be able to talk about that next week, which is going to be fun. It's I'm a little disappointed with the idea of it. It's kobolds and catacombs, which is a little boring to me because I don't find that interesting whatsoever. Okay. Like before, it was all Lich King and like stuff, and that's cool. And I love the Lich King storyline, and Death Knights and Arthas and all this stuff. Awesome, great. And then freaking kobolds. What a strange turn,
So is the problem because it's not like some major villain or some major storyline kind of thing or arc to go with it?
Because they're supposed to be equal. In fact, because of the way that the seasons work, a lot of the cards are going to be like entwined with the current setup, right? So it's only the last 1 year of cards or something like that that's ever in play, right? In the normal mode now. So that means they are entwined together in some sense. So, I'll be like, here is Uther the Paladin fallen, and this is him with his cool new blade that was once the Ashbringer and now is something else, and a kobold. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel good. But anyway, that's been my Week in Geek. Again, sorry for the lack of content.
That is okay. No, that's fine. So it's funny because let's see, what was it you mentioned that I was going to key off of? Shoot, it was one of the early things. Anyhow, I will pick up myself on what I was doing. That's all right. So for me, I gamed a little bit, not nearly as much as I'd like, and there's some things where I need to like spend more time in. I did play more Doom because I keep forgetting how beautiful that game is, and now that I got back into it, I want to finish it. I don't need to get every secret, although I'd really like to. But I've been doing pretty good about making progress, so I'm going to continue doing that. Also, since I finally have a working smartphone again, I've been playing some Pokemon Go again. Because I haven't been able to for months. And it was kind of nice because now that they're doing the raids, which I've participated in like one with a group, and one I ultimately failed by myself completely because I tried to go get a Ho-Oh on my own, and that didn't work out. But they've also done a few things where they brought in some of these new legendaries, as well as, and I haven't seen them yet. I saw one, I think, somewhere and totally missed it. But there have been events where basically the company behind it, Niantic, have released some additional special things for the participation people have had in the game worldwide. And so for the amount of Pokemon that have been caught, when it reached certain levels, they opened up a few things. The most recent is the Japanese exclusive Pokemon, and I forget its name, it's another bird type, is now available worldwide for a short period of time. So
Cool.
yeah, it's one of those things where instead of having to travel to Japan to get it, you can get it anywhere, so keep your eyes out. And unfortunately, I want to say the current level of them of the I think I only have till the 8th to catch one of the Ho-Ohs before it changes or something, whichever other event's going on with that. But it's been fun. It's got me looking at things and going in certain places again, although I haven't really sat down and just played the heck out of it like I should. So there's that. Also, League of Legends has recently changed, and I don't fully know what they did, but thank you Grayfield. Farfetch'd, that's the other one that's available currently. Yeah. But in League of Legends, and I only heard about this from some other friends that kind of mentioned something, I was like, wait, what is that? Apparently, they got rid of IP in the game completely, the influence points that you can earn from playing the game, and have revamped it and merged it with some other stuff where it's now all just like blue essence, essentially, or something, some kind of energy source, or thing that, and the nice thing is they did convert any IP you had to this new material. But I don't know if the ratios changed or it's the same for what it was costing to like buy skins and do other things or characters in game with any of the points. Well, I mean, RP is for skins. Our IP was for characters. And so I don't know how that kind of changed or not with this new system. They also, though, completely got rid of and refunded people that had mastery pages, rune pages, and I think something else.
So I'm sorry. What is the difference between the two?
So the monetary piece of it's basically the same. That piece is they just changed it from IP to this other thing, but they made it more universal with some of the other stuff they were introducing. Because they had things where you could earn stuff, from other parts of the game and how well you perform, stuff like that. They're adding where you can open up keys and other stuff. So I think they're blending that system together some. But the bigger change was they basically got rid of your masteries and rune pages. And so instead, and I've only played like one match with this since, they've kind of got with some default settings that they call I don't know what, but they got rid of a lot of the customization from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Now, you can still customize stuff, but I haven't had time to really go through it. And so I'm really curious about that one. I'll have to spend some more time. But I played just an ARAM real quick. Did not do very well, but I think that was more my team than I. Just as a whole, we were getting rolled. But, I mean, it was a good time. And so I still like to jump on an ARAM every once in a while. Now I need to get back into it, though, and just kind of see what the heck is new, what's changed. And so that's kind of a big part of that. All right. So next, let's see. And actually, I got to mention, cautionary, I don't know if my ISP is being jerks or not. Last week in the show, all of a sudden, my internet died at about an hour in. Well, that had been a symptom that I ran into previously when I mentioned that they had throttled me because I had put, protection on my lines after the lightning strike, and they said I couldn't have those. They were causing interference, all that. So I'm curious and don't know, but if this show drops towards the top of the hour here, it's likely because of internet things, in which case I am going to be yelling at my ISP, let alone the things about net neutrality and all that stuff, right? But so just
do you have a local free legal counsel? Because we have a thing called CAB here, where you can, it's a Citizens Advice Bureau, where you can drop by and say, like, I think that these people are breaking the law, but I'm not sure, and I don't necessarily want to raise anything against them, but can you give me legal advice? Do you have anything like that?
I don't believe so. Normally you have to actually hire lawyers. The nice thing is my friend Akko is a lawyer, just a tax one, but still a general counsel and lawyer. And so I do have some advice I can reach through that.
Nice.
And there's a lot of research online you can do. It's one of those that I will contact them if something happens, and they will better fix it because I'm paying enough money. Damn it, it should work all the time. That's why I pay for a business account. So it's not have interruption when I try to give a show for you guys. But anyhow, that's a separate piece. But that was kind of a heads up of what may or may not be a challenge and hopefully won't be as we go into a break here at the top of the hour. Beyond that, though, other things I did that were kind of big and continuous was I've been doing a lot of things with 3D printing this week, getting my geek on. I finished my project of custom Connect 4 chips that I was contracted to do, as well as was able to give an extra gift of. And so those are all done. No more chips. Now what I'm doing is prepping myself for not today essentially, but next week when I do the show, I will be having people over during the show, and I'm going to be busting away for part of it, or I will be here for the show, but they will be in the rest of my house entertaining and doing things. In that I'm trying to get into the Christmas mood, and so I'm hosting people over to decorate Christmas cookies. Well,
okay,
to prep for this and to be geeky
the same as last year.
Well, last year I had done it with someone else at their house.
Yes.
So I basically took the idea I'm inviting her over now, the gal that was supporting us since her boyfriend, I think she's going to go visit her boyfriend or something out of town during the actual holiday party, so she's not making cookies this time because she'll be out of town. So I invited her to make cookies a little earlier on my end, as well as to invite a bunch of other friends over. And so I'm hoping to put together like a good 100+ cookies, and some of them being a fairly keto-friendly option, all this stuff. Anyhow, but the geeky side of it is that what better thing to do than to do basically sugar cookies or type things and to get the designs for them than to 3D print your own. And so I am currently in the process. I've selected a good dozen or so 3D print designs for cookie cutters that go everything from like traditional Christmas designs to as geeky and silly as it gets. And so I'm excited that I'm currently printing. I have a sheet going right now that is like 4 different ones all at once. And I'm really excited to get all these different cookie cutters. And the nice thing is because using PLA, it's non-toxic, so it works perfectly for things like this. And so I've got some Mario designs, some Pac-Man designs. I've got Christmas trees and wreaths and stuff. Oh no, I don't have a wreath. That's fun. But like initially, the first one I had printed out and had that I used for some cookies when I was doing it for Thanksgiving was some Darth Vader cookie cutter ones. And so that was the one that I had so far, and it worked actually really well. So now I'm excited to see what else I can do. So yeah, that is going to be fun, and that's something I've been doing that's been 3D printing. The other piece of what I've done, and actually I can bring this one up on camera, is one of the 3D printing knowledge sites that I go to. It's a YouTube channel called Maker's Muse, and it's one that I highly recommend for anyone who does anything with 3D printing or want to know more about. Because Maker's Muse is run by this younger gentleman out of Australia, and he does just all these videos about different 3D printers, reviews, software things, other programs and stuff, and some tutorials about how to 3D print, how to make your models, all this stuff. It's what he does, and it's great. Well, one of the things he came up with on his own was a way to test the quality of your printer and how accurate it can run. And one of those accuracy things is tolerances. And the tolerance test that he printed, it basically allows you to check between gaps between different print pieces. And the distance gaps that your printer can do before it's so close that it actually fuses together and becomes one solid piece. And so in doing so, he made essentially this design that's kind of a flower-looking design of different measurements where between each piece, it starts out with, and it's all in millimeter, a 0.5 millimeter gap. So the center one has a 0.5 gap in it, and actually you can kind of, as I hit the back of it, see that it pops up and down a lot because it's very roomy inside that. But then it scales down piece by piece from, where did it go? It goes from a 0.5 to 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, down to where it starts to become a challenge for printers a lot of times, and it kind of shows your quality. 0.15 millimeter gap down to 0.1, and the lowest one he has on it is 0.05, which is a ridiculously small gap. So the nice thing is I'm happy is I got to see on his channel some of the other videos people have made with their printers of how well they did, and mine R2 is actually pretty darn good. because I was able to get down to the 1.5, which is pretty darn good. There's only 2 smaller
That's
steps
very
that I
good.
didn't hit. Now, I will tell you, some of them spin a little easier than others, and so like the 0.05, which you put in the center on purpose, and I'll show why, it has the easiest gap, and it's all one continuous print, so it's not like you assemble it, it just prints the whole thing. And so they actually rotate in there really well. Well, the 0.4, 0.3 both came out really good. The 0.2, I can start to feel a little bit of grippiness on my print. The 0.15 actually was solid when I first got it. Now, he also has a kit where the triangles on it are actually a key that you can stick in. He prints a key for it that you can then try to twist to get a little force on it, because there's a chance it binds, but it's barely bound, and so you can actually break that binding and then it works just fine. And so with that, I did, once I printed the key, was able to free up that 1.5. It took some challenge. I made a video of it where I was crack, and then it was there. And so it moves as well, but it barely, like, it catches still, but it does move. Now, the fun thing, and the part of what Maker's Muse did when he put this together and the design he did it in, was so that you could have a geeky version of a fidget spinner. And essentially that the whole thing will allow you to sit here and spin it. And the fun thing is a lot of the side pieces will too, depending on which gaps you're able to print. And so it's kind of a fun just thing he did. Silly as it may
Nice
be.
idea.
But there are so many designs for fidget spinners out there, and I was like, hell no, not doing it. But this, I was willing to do. And so I don't feel so bad. It's a tolerance test, not a
Yeah,
fidget
that makes
spinner.
sense. It's
Right.
a functional thing that you can. That's also kind of fun. So at least you're not wasting material entirely, right?
Exactly. And so there's that. Okay. I do have one more story to talk about that's geeky, but I think I will
Please.
save it till after the break. We're going to take a somewhat longer break, both so I can go check on some things and prints that are going, refresh drinks and things like that. So you'll be getting a couple songs this break. And then we will be back in, what do I have us at right now? About 10-ish minutes, or just under that. So
Okay, if I'm not back in time, feel free to go ahead. I'll try and join as quickly as I can, okay?
Absolutely will do. So with that, we're going to take a slightly extended break. Hopefully, my internet does not decide to go poop itself. But we'll be back after this. So you're listening to Show X, and we'll be back after basically 2 or 3 songs here. All right, so thank you, and we'll see you just after this.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. You're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. All right, I've been assured that Ken is rushing back to be in the studio. The challenge of him being at his office or school, essentially, while he's doing this is that to go and get anything for him to consume while the show's, he needed a beverage. He has to hike halfway across the campus to do it. And so he is on his way back, and we should see him shortly. While we're waiting for him to join us, one of the other things that I just remembered that I ran into is, is that my Tamagotchi died. So for people who realize or remember, I got a Tamagotchi a couple weeks ago when they first released, and then finally picked it up from Pueblo, brought it back, and was able to get it running. Well, apparently, because I was taking care of this one, darn it, really well. But apparently, Tamagotchi have a limited lifespan. And so mine, essentially I made just over 2 weeks, maybe almost 3 weeks of life. And then my Tamagotchi died. And so since then, well, it was bad because it's funny, and the reason I know it was more a lifespan thing and not neglect, because I kept feeding it, Dragonflies, doing other things I'm supposed to for these little things, is that Zenko also got one at the same time I did. And so together we basically started, Zenko, Hyde, and I all started ours at the same time, pulled the tab, and let's go. Well, they all died within like minutes of each other.
Right.
And so
okay,
it tells me that it's absolutely on a timer versus it being a you did something wrong or whatever it was. So
does it not explain why it's dead at all?
Nope. But it is interesting when it happens because it basically beeped at you like, "Bah!" And you look and you just see its dead body sitting there for a while. And it's like, "Ah." And then after a bit longer, like another hour or so, it switches, or a little less than that, it switches from a dead body to like a little grave and a ghost floating over it. And it has like this ghost floating around it. And then after a bit after that, it basically just kind of shuts, or just, I think it stays like that. Then to reset it, we found that if you hit both the left and right button at the same time, it'll reset and start a new egg and then start the process over again. And so I have mine now evolved one time from its little potato form initially. And I was a little disappointed because I apparently have the exact same model that I had last time, the kind of duck-looking creature that it is. So I'm hoping it evolves differently and not into what looked like a mad tomato like it did last time. But I have assurance because Hyde's one didn't go into the exact same. It actually came in as a different one the next time. So I'm hoping at some point I will see a different model. But we'll see. So that guy's going for its second life now. And Sarathis Tamagotchi, what year is it? Oh, it's 20 years since they first came out. And that's the key, is we got the 20th anniversary versions of them. All right, the next or last story I wanted to talk about that is geeky, is that when I was talking about 3D printing, it wasn't just that I've been printing and what I've been doing, which has been good. It's also that I've been actually helping and tweaking with 3D prints again. So, Zenko Akko, to get prepared for the Galatea Guild Hall, which is the thing they're trying to open up, to allow them to do basically modifications to build things and do stuff like this and do all kinds of craftiness that you might want to do. One of the things they've been doing is they've been acquiring a lot of different tools to allow you to create things. Some of what they've acquired is, it started off for the most part, they had some saws and things to do woodworking, because that was where Akko started out, what he was working on, to make some props and things, but has expanded it where then he picked up, I forget what order it was, but I know at some point he picked up a Mod T 3D printer. Just a little one, got it off Craigslist for like $150. So his first 3D printer. And it worked out well. It took some tweaking, getting used to, but we were able to talk about 3D printing, what it's about, and get into. Since then, they've also, for the Guild Hall, and by all means, on Facebook. Actually, I'm going to throw out to everybody right now about that. The Guild Hall, Galatea, please, if you could, go to their site, like it for one. It's here in Colorado, but it's one, and I'm going to link it on social media for people who use it, and I'll put it in the show notes. It's one that they are trying to reach out and see what people might want for Guild Hall type activities. And so some of this, unfortunately, is really for people here in the local area, but they also share some of the stuff they've been doing and some of the things they've been doing, so you can follow along with kind of what I'm talking about. They've also picked up, essentially, a silk screen machine, an old one, so they could try to do like shirt and fabric design things. They also picked up a laser engraver, although it's this cheap Chinese version of a thing that kind of works, but we haven't really got dialed in. And then they've been picking up 3D printers. They currently have, they got the Mod T for cheap. Then they got this another one. They got a Robo R1 like I have, but a full R1 Plus, which is much nicer than what I run. They got that one off Craigslist as well for a significant discount. And then they got a DLP printer, so one of the resin types. That was a really cheap marked one, but they got that one real cheap. That one doesn't work yet, and we have to do some tweaking to see if we can get it functioning. And they picked up another Robo R1 Plus that they found on a steal of a deal that a person was getting rid of. So the first R1, I talked them through the Mod T. They were running just fine. The first R1 I worked with because it was very similar to mine, but I upgraded so much stuff. Robo had fixed so many of the problems with the Kickstarter. So I was a little jealous because they have a much nicer one than me. And then beyond that, the DLP just does not work yet. There's a lot of tweaks that need to happen with that. But anyhow, the new Robo they got edited steel because the person selling it basically said, this thing doesn't work. It needs a new hot end, it's broken, all that stuff. So Akko ordered a new hot end, got it, and said, all right, got this, we'll start doing some work. I went over yesterday because they got the new parts in and started helping them kind of disassemble and look through what it was. Because I have done a lot of work and learning when it comes to 3D printers. I mean, the more you've done it, the more you'll start going like, yep, you learn just so many things. That's awesome, Kuro. We'll have to talk some more about what he's doing. Setting up a makerspace. That's awesome. Guild Hall Galatea will be up in Denver somewhere. And with it, so we decided, no, we can get it running. So we started tweaking it. I was explaining how the hot end works, how all the connections work, and in doing so, started noticing a few things. First of all, I looked and was like, actually, let's test out the hot end. It heated up just fine. I was like, okay, if it's holding a temp and it's reading a temp and I can see that it's hot, I pushed some material through. I was like, well, then it's not the hot end. I don't get it. What's his problem? And so then I started messing with some stuff. I was like, okay, I tried to print a few things, just was not working. Partly, as soon as it would try to go down an auto level, its sequence, it would freak out. And it would go the wrong direction, and the Z-axis would lift instead of go down. It was just a mess. We were like, I don't know what's going on. Finally, through a lot of troubleshooting, and this was a whole day of troubleshooting, but there was success, we found out that one of the Z step motor switches was broken. And at first what it was reading backwards. So when it was supposed to read closed, it was reading open. When it was supposed to read open, it was reading closed. So whenever it tried to check itself, it said that it was already past its limits and was freaking out the machine. Come to find out, whoever had it before, these switches are the three-prong switches. They're designed to be able to be in either an open or closed state depending on which direction you put the wires. Well, what had happened is the wire that it was supposed to be connected to broke, or the actual little end of it was broken off clean, so you couldn't even see it was supposed to be there until we pulled the switch off. And so the person who had it instead just tried to plug in the other one and said, oh, it'll be fine, not realizing that that switches the natural state of what it's doing. And so it was always airing out versus always waiting to air out.
Right.
And so that was jacked up. So eventually figured that I tried to fix it myself. Eventually had to make a trip to the candy store, and we found the one switch they had that fit and was accurate in the entire store. And I didn't think they would have it, but they've created more of a makerspace, and in doing so, they had one switch, and it was perfect. It fit, put it on there, worked. Yay! So now we could get it to home and actually do what it was supposed to do with the Z-axis. Tried to print, couldn't do it. Also come to find out after pulling some stuff off that somehow the person that had it before had gouged the glass bed. It almost looks like they were trying to get a print off with a screwdriver or something.
Jeez.
Because they had taken a chunk in the center of the bed out. And so I was like, well, that's fun. Thankfully, we were able to put painter's tape over it, and that was working to actually make it stay straight as a way to adhere. So got that kind of figured out. Then, and the extruding part, figured out that part of the problem with the hot end was that the person at some point had changed it to like a half-size hot end nozzle. So from the 0.04 nozzle or whatever, 0.4, went down, I'm guessing it's a 0.2. I really am. Because the challenge is, if you just run it solid like that, it'll try to push as fast as it would when you're pushing through a 0.4 nozzle through half the size, which causes way too much torque, you break filament, and it just won't work. And so, not knowing that, we would otherwise have to completely recalibrate how the print head was working. So we just changed it because he had gotten a new print head, put the new one in that had the 0.4, and now it was actually printing or extruding kind of how it was supposed to. Ish. Then, as we continued to troubleshoot, and like I said, it went through all of these different steps, come to find out that not only was the nozzle basically the wrong size for not telling anybody, somehow, at some point, this person had disassembled the whole print assembly. And in putting it back together, had done it incorrectly in several ways.
That hurts to hear.
What I noticed is when I opened up, there's a little gear that turns, that pulls the material through. The challenge was the gear has threads in one part, or the part that turns. The gear was offset from where the filament was coming through, so the filament was kind of on the edge of it and not centered. And so it was trying to drag it kind of in this corner, not getting a good bite. So I was like, well, that's wrong. I disassembled the whole thing, found out that basically the person had put a washer in on the wrong side. And so I adjusted the whole thing, and next thing you know, it's centered. Hey, there you go. And then I was able to start printing. So I went through this whole series of like just a whole day of troubleshooting and testing and doing bits and pieces and kind of rebuilding to come up and understand exactly what had happened to this printer. And so now what they had gotten for basically $250 with, mind you, about $200 worth of Robo 3D filament included in it. So basically a $50 printer. Oh, and a $70 LCD controller that came with it. They got their money's worth now that I helped them fix the printer. So now they have the working Mod T and 2 working Robo R1 Pluses for the
You're a
Go
good man, sir. That was really kind of you to help them.
Well, it was also a lot of fun, and it re-engaged me because now I have my R1 sitting on my dining room table tipped over as I am going to get ready to try to rewire most of it. I have new thoughts because I've seen now what they improved after the base Kickstarter, how many things they made better, and I'm going to try to implement some of those things in my own printer. Some I won't be able to do because it just won't match, but there's pieces that I'm like, I think I can do this, like change it from a round cable that connects to the hotbed to a ribbon cable that actually folds back and forth really nice. And so I've learned so many things I'm going to try to implement it, and I kind of wish Kuro was up here because I may need to solder, and it scares me to death. I'm going to try to use like computer Molex connectors that you'd use from power supplies to make it so I can actually connect and disconnect, so I'm going to try to use that wiring. Yeah, we'll see. I'm a little concerned, but that's all right. I have heat shrink tubing, a heat gun, and wiring stuff. I can do this. I think I can do it. Maybe I can do it. I don't know. And then I also, and I ordered a new board just in case the board's bad, and because of the LCD thing I saw and how easy that works, I ordered a whole LCD thing, and I actually put an order in with, and I'm waiting to see if I'll get a response from a guy who lives up north, who is apparently selling another R1, one of the new ones. And so I'm hoping he'll accept my offer.
Why? I have no money after buying a big TV. Why?
Oh, so
what's that? Buy a new 3D printer? That's a
so
necessity.
I'm not saying any of this is responsible at all. And I'm not saying any of this is a good idea. It's probably not, and I probably shouldn't do so. But I've got this new kick now where I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I want to start printing all the things. So I may be just making really bad decisions. We'll see. That might be a thing. Anyhow, so we'll see. I'm hoping this guy will message back and I will be able to go pick up another R1 today. That would be awesome. But we'll see. Anyhow, so that is what I've been doing this geeky. Before we end out of this, Ken, we got an email. And I don't know if you have it open, but if you do, could you read it out for us?
Of course I can. So, if my computer would stop being a poop. Okay. This is from our good friend Serathis. And it says, Dear Show X, I remember Ken. Oh, thank you, sir. That's kind of you. I was saying how Undertale's was a great story was ruined by the combat system. That's not quite what I said. I said that when I was playing it, I just kind of hated it and everything it stood for. I think I just hate it in general. And I mean, people go on about the story and stuff, but I have a feeling people just like it because it's kind of cool to like. Not everybody. I'm sure there are lots of people who enjoy it for what it is, but a lot of it was just a kind of culture hype, which kind of annoyed me. But yeah, there's each to their own. Each to their own. While he's completely wrong about the combat system, I do have a substitute. One Shot, originally made for Game Jam. One Shot has greatly extended commercial re-release last year, and a new route that almost doubles the content this May. Since it's a puzzle adventure, it has no combat. It will, in turn, it will screw with your mind in ways Undertale could never hope to achieve. I would say it's one of the best games of the year if you get into it. It starts out pretty slow, but by the second area, I was sucked in. Okay, so that's a fairly good recommendation, minus the mocking of me. So, okay, that's interesting. But the best game this year has to be Hollow Knight. The No Excuses crew and I have been singing praises of this one, but it simply cannot be overstated how amazing this game is. And no loot boxes. I like that that's even mentioned. Like, it shouldn't even have to be a thing, right? Like, it should not matter whether it has loot boxes or... Sorry, we shouldn't even have loot boxes in the first place being mentioned, right? They just shouldn't even be in games. That's just... the current cancer of gaming is loot. Thy name is loot box.
Yes. Well, and there's been more to that because I think EA came out with their response about it, saying that it's totally not a bad thing, and I don't know what the problem is, as well as several other companies that have basically said, "What? It's not gambling. It's fine. Just spend money in a game for something you don't know if you're going to get or not." That
so
makes
have you seen
a difference
the stats
in the
for
game.
Have you seen the stats for it?
Which stats? The only stat I have seen is that EA has suffered a $3.1 billion loss in their stocks.
That part is funny, yes. But no, I was meaning more their actual money that most of these companies make compared to the... There was I can't remember where I saw it, but I think it was on Reddit or something. There was a stat that said, this is how much money comes in from microtransactions, this is how much money comes in from elsewhere. And the microtransactions income is massive. It was, I seem to remember, it was $880 million is coming in from microtransactions in the past year. So it's a very lucrative market, and it requires basically you make a game and that'll make you like a few $100 million, and then you add in loot boxes, which will cost you something like maybe $1 million to put in the first place, probably less, right? You just need some basic art assets and in-game items or skins or whatever. So really, if you just pay a couple of graphic designers for a whole year of their time, then that'll be $100 grand really. Yeah, there you go. Suddenly you have hundreds of millions of dollars coming in because people will pay for it, right? And so if you're looking at it from a person who doesn't game, just a business person's perspective, you would say, yeah, why on earth would we ever not do this? Why on earth would we not have this thing that's going to cost us very little, next to nothing?
Yep.
And people pay for it. So guess what the solution is, guys? Don't frickin' pay for loot boxes. It's literally the only solution that'll stop them. What we're doing with EA is great, but it's a starting point, right? Yep. We need to keep saying this is not acceptable. Stop it, because otherwise they're just going to say, well, some people are complaining, but we're still making massive profits, and I think most companies will say, massive profits, a few angry gamers. massive profits, right? So it needs to be more than a few angry gamers.
Yeah, no, you need to go huge into this, and basically, it's like we always say: you vote with your wallet by not, just don't buy these things. It shouldn't be that hard.
Absolutely. Only possible way that we're going to get out of this the way that gaming has become. All right, so that's not the whole email. He goes on to say, it's the only atmosphere and adorable bug people game for $15.
Nice.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the recommendation. Since this December, all those Games of the Year awards are being handed out. However, the Master Race should not forget about its infinite free content generator, mods. As always,
Yay!
ModDB are having their Mod of the Year vote. That's a good point. So if you've played any great mods, nominate them. My picks this year would be Doom 64 Retribution, a remake of the rather atmospheric Doom 64, Rise of the Wool Ball, the sequel to the Shadow of the Wool Ball, and that's it. This year I haven't really been looking at mods that much. Also, the sister site, NDDB, is having their vote too, making my job of voting for stuff a lot harder. One pick would be Foxhole, a top-down MMO-ish. Right now, 60v60, but it's going to be extended war game with proper logistics and need for teamwork. That sounds pretty cool, actually. I do like that kind of thing. Cool. That's good to know. Thank you very much for that, Serathis. Much appreciated, sir.
Awesome.
All right.
And we have another one in. This one coming to us from Happy Dude. So, Chuck Cupcheck. Good to see you, sir. Says, there was a point in time. Well, it says, well, this has been an interesting week or so. Okay. From Cupcheck, this was a point in time where a fleeting entertainer, me, was dreaming about making money on YouTube and Twitch, and it looked like earning 5 to 10 cents a month with my multi-channel network was going to be the best I could do. Months went by with streams only having 2 to 3 viewers and videos going 10 to 20, and I had a feeling that making a living as something I love to do was completely out of reach. I ended up having a conversation with a man whom I look up to in Twitch community, and he said, artists do what they do because they love it. So continue to paint flowers, and good things will eventually happen. A woman by the name of Gabby Sparts, another personality in the Magic the Gathering, whom I look up to, saw that I was streaming a Magic League and sent in her viewers as a massive raid. Gabby Spats is hosting your channel with 638 viewers. I quickly muted my mic as I keep myself from showing my emotions as I cry on stream. The following day, I stream a Pokemon Silver randomized, and as I log off, I check my emails before I go to bed and read the following. This email is an invitation to join the Twitch affiliate program and start earning you on your Twitch channel while you continue to build your audience and work towards partnership. Turns out that the 638 viewers and viewers in general is what I needed to hit affiliate, so hopefully this is a sign of good things to come. Sorry for the long text. Hugs for everyone. Cupcheck. P.S. Ken, what are your thoughts of kobolds and catacombs?
Okay, so to be fair, well, I'll get to that in a second. That sounds like an absolutely lovely week you've had, Cupcheck, and I'm really thank you for that email. That warmed my heart a little bit. That's very sweet. I'm glad things are going well on your end right now, and best of luck in the future with streaming. So my thoughts on the new expansion in general, I don't like the theme. However, some of the cards look pretty interesting, to be fair. So I'll give it that. I'm not going to stop playing. I'm absolutely not. I'm still very much happy with the game and happy to continue playing. Even though the more I've been thinking about it, Hearthstone is effectively a loot box system.
Okay. Yeah.
It is, right?
Oh, it's NECCG, right?
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that. I mean, and the difference is that you don't have to play with loot boxes. You can earn them through playing the game, right? So that's the part where I'm kind of okay with it. And it is free otherwise, so that is how they're making their money. You're not paying full retail price of 50 quid, and then you have to have loot boxes to unlock the rest of the content or anything. It's literally just, here's a free game. If you want to support us a bit more, you can pay a little bit extra into the game.
Which is a model I support. Yeah, I support free-to-plays that you can monetize. It's when you have to monetize that's an issue.
Yeah, I would say they go a little bit too far down the scale of pushing people towards paying. I've seen a lot of people on the Hearthstone subreddit talk about the fact that they realize that like they have a problem because they've put tens of thousands of dollars into Hearthstone. And I don't think that Blizzard exactly care about that. They're more interested in trying to make money. And I think it'd be a lot more ethical of them if they, maybe follow a sort of League of Legends system where like you can pay for stuff if you want, but the only thing that you definitely need to pay for is skins, right? that's kind of the way it should be. Visual
Which
aspects
is harder
only.
in a thing like this because there aren't really skins in Hearthstone. I mean, what it's
There are
really about.
absolutely. There are gold skins, and you can have skin packs as well, and you can unlock different
I thought
heroes
it was
that
just
you can play
different
with.
cards. I thought it was more
No,
the
no,
heroes
no.
part, but
So legendaries and stuff right now are super expensive to get or very rare to again your card packs, right? But if
Okay.
they made it so that all the cards were unlocked and anybody could play, and instead they had it so the card backs cost money, right? Right now
Okay.
you unlock some by achievements or whatever else. But if they just instead made it so that it was entirely based on you either through loot boxes or whatever it is, buying the card backs, and same with the heroes, and maybe invest further into the heroes. Like right now, I think you can play as 2 different types of hunters, 2 types of paladins, 2 types of priests, and I think that's it pretty much. I'm not sure. I don't actually. Oh, and 2 types of warriors. I don't actually own any other heroes because I've never bought any. But that way, that would be enough to support your game. I mean, really, it would be. But they just know that they can make a lot more money by doing this kind of unethical thing, in my opinion.
it is always interesting
Either-
to see how any company or people monetize things. I'm always interested in that, and so yeah.
I'd like it if they just were a bit more ethical about it, and or if they actually made it just that the game is, or each expansion costs money like they used to. Like I like that. I actually enjoyed that model. I enjoy the model of I'm paying for the single player campaign where there's like 4 wings and they unlock each week or whatever, and but it's really super fun and I enjoy it and I unlock a bunch of cards for it and some legendaries. I really enjoyed that. I don't mind paying for the content in that sense because it's a whole expansion, and it took it's like 3 or 4 hours of lots of fun plus the cards that I can play again and again using my own deck or deck in the future for for like $20 or whatever, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with $5 an hour of fun and then additional content that I keep playing for days. Yeah, okay, I'll happily pay you for the money for that, Blizzard. Please do that again. But they've made it now. They've just went with the pure loot box system for every expansion since. And that makes me sad.
Yeah, I don't like that as much. But at
makes
the
me
same
sad.
time, when it comes to like CCGs and stuff, I don't play any of them. So there's that.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair enough. It's just
But
like I
at
don't
the
play any
same time,
games, man.
like you said, congrats to Cupcheck because that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
That definitely more viewers than I've ever had because
Oh yeah.
I realize I don't put out the content that I probably should to ever actually get any kind of return on that. So I have to accept kind of where I'm at.
I vaguely follow your dream though, Cupcheck. That does sound like an amazing way to live your life. Playing games and being paid for it is always something that who doesn't want to do that, right? Like seriously,
Exactly.
who does? So I can definitely appreciate that. But having no PC to game on, I don't think my dream will ever. Or I say dream. I don't think that'll ever be true for me.
We
That's
need to
okay.
get that fixed. I don't know when and how, but we need to get that fixed.
Maybe
bad.
next year.
Yeah, we just
Maybe
gotta
next
keep it in mind. It's gotta happen. But anyhow, yes. All right, sir. So that I think covers everything we have in the Geek Cred section today. And so now it is time to transition one more time over to finish up the show today with a little bit of.
Technology, news, and more today on the Geekoscope.
So on the Geekoscope news, what has been happening in the world around us? Ken, do you have anything you'd like to start us off with?
Yeah, I have a few things. My PC's been really slow. Like, come on, scroll down past the. No, don't autoplay the video. Don't autoplay the video. Oh, Jesus, stop. Sorry, 1 second.
That's right. So while you're doing that, just a quick note on my end. One of the things to follow up with me talking about the little keychain I have is that apparently Tamagotchi is going for more than just the little handheld pieces, because Tamagotchi is back and will be coming to smartphones. So while I have the little digital pet here in my hand in this little thing, it says that in conjunction with the 20th anniversary of Tamagotchi, Bandai Namco has just announced that My Tamagotchi Forever, a mobile version of the digital pet toy, which is scheduled to be released beginning of next year on iOS and Android. Based on a trailer they have, the game should feature the usual virtual pet activities, feeding, playing, cleaning up virtual pet poop, and also augmented reality to interact with your Tamagotchi. And this will be interesting because apparently Tamagotchi continued to produce all these new things way beyond what my little keychain can do and the original one I had. To a point where my friend Hyde has a more modern Tamagotchi Connect, that was one that came out later, and even in that one has built-in mini games. The Tamagotchi live longer, that you can actually send them to play with other Tamagotchi if you got to another Connect one, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what this version does. They're saying for some of the details in the press release, there'll be things like raise your Tamagotchi character, make sure you feed, wash, clean up, and turn the lights off for a good night's sleep. Have fun with the Tamagotchi by playing mini games and exploring Tamatown together, and make friends with other Tamagotchi characters along the way. Evolve your Tamagotchi character from one type to another, depending on how you care for them. Collect memorable moments that you can share with your Tamagotchi characters and friendly town citizens. Share your moments with friends, tickle your Tamagotchi, earn coins by playing mini games, and unlock delicious food, costumes, and colorful items to decorate. And so it's going to be a much more robust version. I'll be kind of curious to see what they do with it because mine, it's on all the time and it bugs you and says, do these things. If it's on your phone as an app, I don't know what it will do. So
well, it'll give you notifications, right? But you'll probably be able to pause them or turn off the notifications.
Well, which is something that apparently you could do in the more modern Tamagotchi that you can't in this type, is you could pause them. Mine is like, nope, that's their schedule. They go to bed at 10, they wake up at like 9. Or 8 or something, so that's pretty much what they do. But yeah, no, interesting. All right, sir, were you able to sort out and get to your article?
Yeah, but oh my god, this computer it's got great internet. I've got a great internet connection here at the uni, but I do not have a powerful computer. Dang, I don't anywhere. So what can I complain about? Okay, so this one is I've never actually really played this game, but I've read multiple articles about it. Paladins. Have you heard of this game?
Yep.
So in the past week, they've been kind of up in arms, the community, because they've recently, this past week, introduced, you'll never guess, a loot box system into the game. So that's a freaking bright idea, right? Right? Oh, what a smart idea. What a week to do that. So Paladin's developer Hi-Rez Studios recently announced an updated progression system for its free-to-play hero shooter, and many players are angry over its extreme similarities to Star Wars Battlefront 2's Star Card system, arguing it's pay-to-win. Previously, stat-boosting cards needed to be unlocked either through randomized loot boxes called chests, or by crafting specific ones. Under the reworked system, dubbed Cards Unbound, all cards are available to all players, but have also been split into level ranging from 1 to 5, with higher level cards offering better bonuses. To upgrade a card, players must collect a set number of duplicates of it. However, the currency previously used to craft specific cards has been removed, so the only way to obtain duplicates is opening chests purchased with gold or crystals, respectively Paladin's in-game and real money currencies, though the real money purchases have been temporarily turned off while the new system is balanced. So that's disgusting. Can we just remove microtransactions? Can we just do that, please? Please. I remember back in my day when you just spend an initial cost on the game, and then you'd have it, and you could play it.
Yeah.
And if you wanted more content, you either wait for an expansion, or you could buy DLC, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with DLC, so long as it's not horse armor. And and that's you sorted. And everybody was happy. Or, God forbid, you unlock content by playing the game. Crazy, right? Crazy ideas. But no,
so
that's not the way
funny.
forward.
There's been a joke I've heard lately that specifically talked about EA. Because do you remember EA's buzz line or logo, especially from their sports? They had a thing they used to say with EA games, or at least the thing
I know it.
which was, EA, it's in the game.
But guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what? It's not.
It really,
EA, it's in the microtransactions. EA, it's in the loot box.
So bad. It's just kind of like
bad taste on your tongue.
Oh, it's so awful. It's just kind of like, wow. Remember when you'd actually be able to get anything and be able to play everything, and it was good. Not anymore. Yeah. So yeah, that hurts.
Back in my day, games used to have content. You didn't have to pay for after you'd bought the game. You need to buy the game more and also frequently.
Oh, it's so annoying.
I mean, at least things like subscription models are generally from having, it's from having like server costs and stuff. Like I can kind of understand why WoW or whatever else have subscription costs, right? It's to pay for those servers with all the people on them and stuff. Fair, okay, whatever. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with this. It allows us to have, the ability to do pugs and like match up with people and have matchmaking and stuff and do it and have it fast and like I've never really had lag in WoW ever, and that's because the servers are pretty nice, right? I've never had any problems. Have we ever heard any problems with WoW servers? Actually, I've never even heard a single problem.
Back in the day, but it's been a long time.
Right? I mean, maybe that's just the lack of players. I mean, could argue that, but still, it's been good, and that's why I don't mind monthly costs for that. And even then, the in-game stuff that you can buy in WoW, you can buy a level 100 level up now, but I don't really care about that either because it's not paying to win. It's just paying to be lazy, right? And I kind of almost agree with it. Back in the day, I probably would have found it a bit more disgusting. But as somebody who works more and more in my life, I can kind of see the appeal. I'd really like to play this card in endgame. Oh, shame I don't have hundreds of hours spare.
Yeah.
I do have $50 spare, right? That's not so bad. I don't necessarily mind it, I guess. But it's still not great. Ideally, you don't pay for anything in the game once you've bought the game, right? Ideally, but we don't live in an ideal world, so there's some wiggle room. But what that wiggle room is not microtransactions that are pay to win, ever, or microtransactions that might be paid to win that you don't know because it's a freaking loot box. That's just disgusting. At least let us know what we're buying and putting our money into, for God's sakes. Anyway, sorry.
How do you really feel about that?
Yeah, I know, right? Many players argue this system not only makes earning powerful cards considerably more time-consuming, it also strongly incentivizes spending real money to speed up progress. Others are complaining that progression is not now too random, as they no longer directly craft cards to upgrade the heroes they want to play. So you basically you might get the cards for upgrading the hero you want, or you might get the cards for a hero that you actually hate and never want to play anyway. And besides, RPG systems should be not based on random. They should be based on, well, apart from like loot or whatever, but otherwise should not be based on, on random for progression. That's just sad. And even then, like, if it's loot, it's usually like that's like the rare bonus that keeps you going. But like a general progression behind a paywall, that's disgusting. Ugh.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Ugh. All right, sorry.
Nah, I understand. Yep. Well, and I'm again. Come on, guys. Be honest about how you monetize. Don't be such crap about it. We are in an odd place. I don't love it. Oh well. Anyhow, let's see. What else did I have in here? There we go. More Loot Crate stuff that I don't want to talk about. Instead, I will mention something that kind of caught interest again recently, although we're not quite there yet. So, reaching back in the Wayback Machine of 5+ years ago or so, just as a heads up, Star Citizen 3.0 is coming soon, and as public volunteers are now testing it before mass release.
Oh, geez, I've forgotten all of this game's existence at this stage.
Exactly, reaching way back. So the last few months in Star Citizen community have been all about Update 3.0. It's what development team have been building up to since pretty much the game's announcement. To put it in perspective, everything in Star Citizen so far has been about space, but that's no longer going to be the case. With 3.0, players will be able to land on planets, opening up a whole new world of new gameplay opportunities. And it looks like some players are already getting their hands on it. Star Citizen has its own band of testers called the Evocati, and as reported by Eurogamer, they seem to be getting to work finding all of the Update 3.0's bugs. There's an image posted of what looks like to be a Evocati Discord server, which confirms that they have access to the public test universe for the test flight. And actually, they did announce out there that 3.0 has been opened up, not just to the internal tests, but now to the public test realm.
Cool.
With that, it's basically this big tease to say that it's still not there yet, 3.0 is still not the game, but it's coming. And the big thing they did add is this opens up more of what the persistent universe is going to play like. in that you will be able to get on the planets, run around on the ground, go into or not just space stations, but actual stations on the ground, potentially grab missions where you run around and shoot and do other things. And so it's going to give you a taste of what the overall Star Citizen experience should be like, but we'll see. So some excitement there. I've had a big kind of little uptick in excitement from around the world here. One of the big ones being that the VTW is partnered with a group that in our former stuff called Blue, who are massive Star Citizen fans. They're going to be doing this whole thing. And there'll be more details to come on that, but Blue has actually gifted VTW, the Gaming Guild, for Star Citizen a plot of land somewhere in-game where they bought basically an ability for people to set up with their corporations an area that they can kind of set up an armistice or a safe zone to build a base. And so
Cool.
Blue, big thanks to them, has gifted our group a plot of land that we will hopefully set up a base somewhere in-game when it all goes live. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
As well as we'll talk in detail, not on show because we're going to have some nice Clan type things we're going to plan on doing with VTW that we hope to do and talk about as we go further. So we're looking at 3.0 coming to all of us as a way to start talking about how we're all going to play the game when it goes live. So I'm excited for that. Anyhow, so yes, Wayback Machine, Star Citizen apparently is still a real thing. Not complete vaporware, but still pretty vaporware. Hopefully it'll come out someday. So, all right, enough of that one. Ken, back to you.
All right, so back to Hearthstone. Kobolds and Catacombs expansion. The release date was actually announced this week. So they've been saying mid-December for some time, but the official date for the release of the expansion is December 7th in the US and December 8th in Europe. So it's actually a little bit earlier than mid-December, which is pretty nice. And so that means, oh geez, that's only, 4 days away? Well, yeah, both of those, 7th and 8th. So that's cool. So all players who log in after this date will receive 3 Kobolds and Catacombs card packs and a random legendary weapon card for free. 3 new one-time dungeon run quests will also be available, which will each earn, wow, it's bad grammar IGN here, bad grammar, which will each earn players an extra card pack upon completion. That's cool. I like that's a good way of doing it. Earn your actual rewards, don't just be giving them. I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. The expansion looks to focus on the underground world of Azeroth and its rat-like residents, the Kobolds. It will feature new legendary weapons for all classes, as well as magic items, which Blizzard detailed during BlizzCon. Not that I know anything about that. Okay. So that's interesting for anybody, your Hearthstone people out there. If you still do actually play Hearthstone, send us an email. Let us know, like, what's your style of playing? Have you ever purchased cards in the game? Have you ever purchased the expansions? Do you like the model that they follow? Do you think it's too easy to get legendaries, too hard? I've seen a lot of people talking about the fact that the meta has changed drastically recently. And now it's absolutely mandatory that like any good deck must have like 2 or 3 legendaries in it. And generally the cost in like the in-game currency for crafting cards is around the level of like 8,000, where it used to be about 800. So it's kind of a case where you really need to have been built up for years, or you need to really have a high income and play a lot, or just put a lot of money into the game. And actually, I saw somebody posting on Reddit saying each expansion now spent about $3,000, approximately $20 a day on Hearthstone, and they've all said I don't regret it because I enjoy it. However, I have begun to regret it in the past 2 expansions because of the fact that they feel like they put in all this money and they still feel like they're missing so many cards and not ahead of the game, and etc. etc. And it's at a stage where, like, you know, when I read that, I think to myself, you know, I've been tempted to buy a pack. Why wouldn't you, right? If I enjoy this game. I want to get more cards. Why? You can see the temptation, right? But reading that just puts me off so much. I'm just like, why would I put money into the game if somebody who's put thousands of dollars in still feels like they're not getting enough out of it?
That's rough.
It's just crazy.
Well, it goes back to why I can't play CCGs. I just don't care. And this is going back to all the way back to the original, you know, with Magic the Gathering and stuff when I started there. I played it for fun originally when you could just have your base couple decks, and you might just you might have enough cards to have 3 or 4 different types of decks, depending on who you're playing, but that was kind of the limit of it. You didn't go much further. Now it's like, boy, the level you have to get into depth and the way you have to play it, to me, just is too much work. I don't see the fun in it. Well, that's just me, because it also used to be there were no pre-built decks. There was no meta that this is the only way you play. It was really just about you put some stuff together and see what happened, and kind of played, heaven forbid, for fun.
But okay, well, when was this? Is this
For me,
when
that
you
was
used to play-
93, 94.
right? So that's kind of before the era of the internet and it really took on and everything, right? So that sort of communication, like I
Back when it
imagine
was
there
pure.
I imagine there probably was some kind of meta that just that if a community was online and playing together frequently, would within a week like come together and say, oh yeah, it turns out this deck, it seems to be the best no matter what. Like that will always eventually kind of come out. I doubt it was like a mathematically sound model they had. I imagine it was just a lack of communication at the time, which made it not so obvious. And to be fair, there are probably much fewer cards back then than there's in, for example, Hearthstone now. Though I imagine now the Magic the Gathering is extremely expansive as well, so it's probably got a huge set of cards there now as well. So maybe it's changed. I don't know, but who knows? Who knows?
Alrighty. Well, let's see what else in there. We have, I think, time for at least another article in here. Shoot, there's so many little ones. Actually, there's one that's relevant to time now, so I better bring it up now. This is an article from Polygon.com that's talking about video game releases for this month. And so, just things to look forward to in this next, as we head into Christmas season month, and look for details and sales and things like that. But starting off with, and I just saw this come through my Steam account to say that it's available, Doom VFR, which is basically the new Doom game, which I'm enjoying so much right now, but in VR. I'm kind of curious to be what it is. Watched the trailer, and that was interesting.
No, it's not VR. It's VR. It's VFR. What does that stand for?
I have no idea. But it's interesting because it is coming out on PC and for the PlayStation 4 all at once.
Nice.
So that'll be kind of interesting. Another one that's coming out, and I'll be kind of curious to know if any of these are something anybody out there is excited for, or which one of these games or any of them are ones you've been looking forward to. One that I've been hearing a lot of scuttle about, but I don't own a Switch, so it won't matter, is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. A lot of my friends that do own Switches are very excited about this because it seems to be a very in-depth RPG type game. Other ones, and this is funny because I didn't realize they were still making them, Dead Rising 4 Frank's Big Package, and this is mainly for the PlayStation 4. Because the Dead Rising series is fun, I don't think I've played it past 2. Another one.
Yeah, me neither. It's kind of a series
Right?
that
I mean, it
should
was
have died a while
fun.
ago.
It was fun. I just am kind of surprised there's more versus other ones. Curse of the Osiris for Destiny 2, which is interesting because I know just recently Destiny 2 was on sale for about half off on the PC, on Steam and such. I know a few people have picked it up. I probably would have, but I'm still stuck in this case of I have more games than I can play now anyways. But it seems like they've fixed a bunch of things in there, and admittedly when I played the beta for it, or whatever was open beta, I thought Destiny 2 was actually kind of fun, but that's all I know about it. Let's see what else they have. The Walking Dead, the Telltale series. So that's been out before. This one it's now coming to console, so you'll be able to get it on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Another one that's been out for quite some time, but it's coming out on the 9th, is Loco Roco 2 on the PlayStation 4. This is old 2D kind of colorful game there. Another one that we're looking forward to is next week, or just a little more than a week. Fallout 4 VR is coming out from Bethesda. And that's one that there was a lot of kind of curiosity about to see how it'll play as a full-on VR Fallout game. And I'm hoping that it'll be more than just a stand there turret type game or something like that. So I'm very curious to see how that one will turn out. And I figure it'll be similar to Doom because they're both Bethesda games and they should be coming from basically the same studio. Plus more
Cool.
VR.
Yeah, more VR is good. Especially the support of Doom, which is such a big game. That's good to see.
So good. So good. One that I'm actually kind of excited for here is Okami HD. And the main reason for this is because Okami this is going to be a remaster of the Clover Studio style action adventure game that was originally released in 2006. It'll support 4K on the systems that can run it, and you'll have the option of widescreen or the original 4:3 aspect ratio, which I'm excited for because Okami, I don't know if you remember that one, you play as kind of a fox or such running around and is very artistic, is one that it was beautiful.
Oh, I do remember that one. Yep.
Yeah, it's very hand-drawn looking, beautiful game. I've heard great things about it. and I never played it back in the original. So an opportunity to come back and play it on PC in HD, I like this. I like this. Want this. Other ones, and this is kind of funny, but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. You know, it's been out on the PC now for a while, but it's coming to the Xbox One, which should be interesting. Oh, and mobile? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing that one. It was an app or something. I don't know how they're going to play that one off. I did see an announcement.
Yeah, apparently it's got more
curious.
features than the ones that are available on PC right now, which is nuts. I don't know how they're going to manage that.
I don't know. I saw some other version of like a PlayerUnknown's Battleground for the mobile that I was kind of surprised about. It wasn't that specifically, but it was one like it. That seemed to be a full-on first-person shooter type game, or third-person. Another one coming out is Resident Evil 7, End of Zoe and Not a Hero. And so this one is all systems. We've got an expansion for Final Fantasy 15, an expansion already for Battlefront 2 to bring in The Last Jedi. And that's kind of interesting on its own. Since Battlefront and don't play that game, don't give them money. But those are some of the big titles coming out just this month. I'm going to be tempted because the VR experiences, I love me some VR. Oh, wolf. Okay, thank you, Greyfield, for fixing me because the picture I saw was just the back of its head. So I wasn't sure if it was fox or wolf. So Okami is a wolf, which of course is what it means in Japanese. Durr. But from those, I think that's the one I'm probably most interested in, other than Doom VR looks fun because it's a shooter and Doom is so pretty. Fallout, I'm curious, and so we'll see how that one turns out. But it looks like you're able to bring up your actual Pip-Boy and look at it, right?
That's
that'll
cool,
be
yeah.
Kind of fun. But it's the movement thing is actually the thing I'm most concerned with. Same thing in Doom. Every game so far in VR I've played where you actually move with like the thumbsticks or something, you're not walking, makes me a little nauseous. And so I'm most concerned about that. We'll see.
How common is that? I'm curious, because I don't know if there's going to be a lot of people who are like that or just a couple. Like, is that a very widespread problem?
I think it's... How did I hear it best equated? Similar to like getting motion sickness when you fly or something like that, or on certain roller coaster rides, some people are more susceptible than others. Simple as that. And for me, I believe... I know I'm very susceptible to like rides that cause me to spin and get dizzy. Those will make me effing sick. I don't do spinning very well. The challenge with mobile games like this, and it's for me, it's flight simulators can get me nauseous in VR. Racing games, if I look out to the side, not forward. And then walking around games, if I don't teleport. Teleporting works great for me because you're just standing and then you just move to a new spot. Walking, the problem is I hit a thumbstick to start walking and my legs aren't doing anything. And so there's a disconnect between body and brain for me that can cause me to feel a little nauseous. And that's where I don't know if that happens to everybody, but it definitely happens to me. I've had other friends
I've never really tried
completely
VR
not
on my
susceptible.
phone, so...
Yeah. Well, I've had people who don't get affected at all, but one of the main ones is one of my gentlemen I work with who used to be a pilot, and he said that once you get through all the G simulators and kind of craziness you do for a pilot, VR was like, this is nothing. You know, because basically that kind of stuff doesn't get him sick anymore. So, anyhow.
That's a good point, actually. Is it the case with pilots and such that they get over that kind of sickness? Do they just learn to get used to it, or do they just get kicked out as soon as you're found to be like that?
I think, well, if you can or can't, but I think you train it for the most part, much like astronauts and such, where you go through so much training in the VR stuff that eventually you get used to it, and you can, or not just VR, but like the big G-force simulators and things like that. Not entirely sure. I've never experienced. I don't know if I would do very well. Probably throw up. But yeah, just an idea. So anyhow.
Hey, SpaceX is probably going to be a thing within our lifetime, sir. You may be going up there with me.
I would attempt space. Anyhow, it is time for us to end the show. Ken, could you please talk us out?
Sure thing. You've been listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. Please go and take part in the next art contest, which I'm going to put up momentarily. But I have an announcement to make for this winner. Let me check and see. Make sure people have voted. We have had 10 more views since I announced it, so people have looked. But only 2 people more have voted. But we have a clear winner. And the winner is the titled piece, Stay Out of the Fog by Kuro. So congratulations, Kuro, for that fantastic piece. Beautiful lighting, lovely contrast, and the graves look very cool. And it's under the theme of Halloween, which is very appropriate.
Yes, it is.
Very nice shot, sir. Very nice. It's just a side note, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to take up too much time here. Have you played Guru Shots some more, Wayne?
I haven't been on it much this week because I've been running around so much. In fact, normally I keep the tab open on my screen just in general, but because of reboots and other things, I hadn't brought it back up. So I do need to do that. But apparently I made it to premiere level under cover photos.
Hey, congratulations! That's cool. I'm too many. I need to get 2 all-stars, and then I can get my next rank and go up to, I think it's expert level.
Nice.
But I've been playing a little bit too much. I tend to always have up.
I'm still a rookie. Now, granted, all I have to do is do a swap to get to the next one, but I didn't have
swaps are easy, dude.
I know, but I didn't have enough photos posted to actually swap anything.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You can upload everything from your Flickr to make it easy to do, by the way, just so you don't have to do it. Anyway, we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Cool.
So congratulations again, Kuro. You've done well. I'll be sure to update the thread with that. And be sure to check in the next contest. We'll probably have it going over into January or something like that, so that we can include Christmas, we can include New Year's, we can have some mixed categories in there to do with the seasons and such as well. I'll see what we can do. If you have any particular things you would like to have put in there, again, touch in the next 15 minutes or so, and I'll see what I can do. Okay. Otherwise, you listen to ShowX on VTWProductions.com. We'll be back next week. We are all over the place. You can find us everywhere. We are on Twitter.com, where you can find us at VTWShowX for the show's account itself. You can find us at DocDead for Mr. Wayne here, and at GoHex for myself. Check us out. You can send us an emails to showx@VTWProductions.com, and by doing that, we will read your email on air, and that's always good fun. You can also support us on patreon.com/showx, and like us on Facebook too by just searching for ShowX there, and you should find us no problem. Please do that one in particular, because that's where we're most active outside of the show by far. That's where we post all of our links. That's where we put up interesting comments or studies or news or articles or whatever, or even memes. So be sure to check out ShowX on Facebook. Thank you very much for having me on the show, sir. It's always a good laugh.
Yes, it is good fun. I enjoy being here for all of you. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful week. Do lots of things that are geeky, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. It'll be interesting since, yes, I will have people here doing cookie stuff while I'm on the show. So we'll see how it goes. All right, everybody. Hopefully I'll have lots of great 3D printing stories for you over the week. You guys have fun. I will not see you in the gaming because I need to go do some soldering. But
I need to go home.
Catch you guys later. Yes, and Ken needs to go home. You guys have a wonderful time, and we will catch you guys another time. Bye, everybody! Oh, wait, no, it's there. Okay. I was gonna say, did I not put the outro in? No, I did. Okay. Bye!
Goodbye. See you in the next zombie. Good night, Osaka.